Hello and welcome to the back garden garage where I'm currently restoring a BMW E30. Now in the last video I made a rotisserie for the car to go on, and it allows me to access the underside of this car. So with the good access underneath the car, I am now going to tackle the bodywork. So my first thoughts for this underside is actually to leave the majority of the original sound deadening on the car. That being said, there is 35 years of grime on the bottom of this car, so I can't see fully just how bad it is. So what I'm going to do is crack out the jet wash, the snow foam, the brushes, and just clean the whole underside of this car, and we can just see exactly what we're working with. So this is my homemade rotisserie. If you're interested to see how I made this, I will leave a link in the description below. And while you're there, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more future projects and to see my progression while I restore this BMW. It's all new to me, so follow me along and see how I get on. Well, the car is looking a lot cleaner. More than what can be said for me. I think most of the dirt's jumped from that onto me. That was a bit of a messy job. Maybe I should put overalls on, but it's too hot for that. So the car, it is looking miles better than what it did before, that's for sure. There are still some dirty spots on it and some black areas, but overall I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Now in terms of the rust, I can see it all over the place, and there is going to be lots of localized rust repair. If it looks too much like a patchwork blanket after it's done, I will end up stripping off all this undersill. So I am going to start on this wheel arch. There's so much rust to do. I don't know really where to start. So start at the front, work along this side, along and back. That's the plan anyway. We'll see if that changes. So we'll use the multi-tool to clean up all of this. It worked well with a saw blade. It works even better with a scraper blade. So that's a little bit of an oversight there, but never mind. It is all done. I'm not gonna go and clean it up with a wire wheel and grinder just yet. I'll do that when it's closer to painting. I just need to know exactly where the rust is. And there is a lot of rust. We've got rust in the front, where it joins into the front panel. We've got rust in the brackets that hold the brake pipes. We've got rust up the seams that lead into the footwell. We've got rust in the boot floor. All of that's going to need cutting out and replacing. There are other sections of rust that I need to attend to, and some little bits of rust that will probably clean up and be treated, especially seeing they're not anything structural. So let's start at the front, at the front of the wheel arch, and we will start cutting it out and see what we need to make up to replace it. So this is the piece I cut out. Now it is made up of two pieces. We've got the flat plate, which this is what I'm making now, and then obviously what remains of the wheel arch. Now they join together with this flip. So on my template, which I have drawn around, I have added about 10 mil just to allow me to bend that edge over, giving me this lip. So I've just added it on. As you see, I've drawn it round. I'm going to get this cut out in the shear and look at shaping it, fitting it, adjusting it, just to get it fitting as well as possible. Okay, so with the basic shape made, I'd need to now put some bends in the metal. Now this end piece is going to be straightforward. I can just put it in the vise, bend it over, tap it down, make it nice and square. But for this one, obviously, it's got a bend in it, so I'm going to have to sort of tweak it and bend it and sort of stretch the metal a little bit here. So as it bends over, it allows it to still curve. I wonder if I can just put it on the edge of the vise or something and just tap it down with a hammer, move it around, tap it down, and just keep doing that until I get the shape. Not sure, let's see how it turns out. So you can see I'm just sort of moving it and twisting it as I go. And I'm just going to keep working at it a little bit at a time, and that should stretch this little bit of metal here and give me the shape. That's what I'm hoping. Right, let's keep going. Let's come see how that fits. Okay, so let's fit this up in the top there. So that is all where it needs to be. And it does look like it has bent slightly. Somewhere in the middle. You can see there at the top is fitting well, and at the bottom it is spaced out. So in this middle part, around here, I'm going to use another new tool, well, new to me, and see if I can sort it out. So this tool is a metal shrinker, and what it does is it clamps onto the metal with its jaws, clamps it together, and forces the metal together. And if I do that in this area, it should force it together, which in turn will bring this side and rotate it down, which should close that gap up. We'll give it a go and see what results I get. Just a little bit to begin with. So, I was way too eager. You can see how much that's twisted in. I only used a little bit of force, I thought, but obviously that was too much. So what I'm going to do is actually change the tool, the jaws in this stretcher, or a shrinker I should say, to a stretcher, because they are interchangeable, and then just see if I can straighten it back out. Keep tweaking it, and I will get back to you when I'm close. Okay, so I am happy with how this is now. If I just put it in, there's a magnet underneath just to hold it. That fits really well. I'm just going to apply some weld through primer on the bottom of this, just where the chassis is, and I'll get it tacked in. Although I did just tack it in to begin with, I rotated the car over to start making a template for the arch itself, and just found it was a little bit too flimsy with it only being tacked to give an accurate sort of reading. So I decided
to fully weld this panel in before going any further with the actual arch metalwork. And as much as I would have liked to have shown you all of my welding, the good and the bad, I started to experience some issues with the camera switching off, which was a little bit frustrating.
Right, so I'm having a little bit of issue with the camera at the moment. It seems to keep cutting out for whatever reason after only a few minutes of filming. So I'm gonna have to address that. But for now, let me spin you around and I'll show you exactly where I've got up to. Now this is the piece that I've got shaped to go in. Now it's only a rough shape at the moment as it curves around here. It's pretty close, but it's not quite there yet. And I've got it all sprayed in weld-through primer, and the same with the edges, and I've drilled the edges to be able to spot weld them in. But I'm gonna need to tack it, I think, as I go and shape it into place. Because of the way that this arch curves, it not only curves sort of that way, but that way at the same time. So it's just a case of tacking it, moving it, tacking it, and getting it lined up, I think, along this edge, and then I can finally weld it in here. So as the camera's playing up, I'm not going to weld it in just yet. Well, me, myself, you were going to watch future me do it now.
So this piece took a lot of fiddling to get right and into place. I need to tack it in place, tap it around, cut the tacks back off, re-tack it. Yeah, just a lot of fiddling and faffing. In fact, I do actually make a bit of a mistake with the grinder, which I need to come back and address a bit later. So it's hard to know just how much footage is worth leaving in the video before it becomes a bit boring, because I am by no means an expert welder, so you're just watching an amateur at work, really. For example, here I am cutting out that mistake that I made, where I cut the gap a bit too big with the grinder. So I just need to cut a small little section out to fill it back in with, get it welded in, and grind it down. And because my garage is a little bit damp, especially now it's going to enter the colder weather, I'm going to give it a bit of a coat of some primer just to stop it flash rusting.
So that is that section welded in, at least from the underside. I have put some primer on it just to stop it sort of flash rusting underneath here. But now what I need to do is flip the car upside down and finish off from the inside, because it needs a bit of treatment, grinding down. There's a little bit of welding to finish. And I just want to get that section completed before I move on to the next little brackets. So this is it from the other side. We got some ugly spots where I had to put an extra little patch in, but we got good penetration all the way around by the looks of it, so that is a good sign for the future. I just need to finish off inside this chassis leg because I couldn't get it from the other side.
So I'm going to weld this in, get this all cleaned up, and I will need to clean this up better than the other side because this is obviously mostly visible. So let's get some more welding and grinding all done. So next up, I think we're going to tackle these brackets. There's only two by the looks of it in here, so they hold things like brake pad, wire, sensors, and brake lines, things like that. I'm going to spot drill them out to remove the bracket, maybe put them in the shot blaster and just clean them up a bit, see if I can reuse them, repair the metal behind it, and then put them back in place. That's the plan. So I'm going to start with the easy one and see how we get on. So as you would have seen, that bracket is now done and back on and just treated to stop it flash rusting. Now this bracket I've removed, put it through a shot blaster, all seems to be fine. The bracket itself, but the metal work behind is all heavily pitted and holed. So I need to cut out this little section of metal here, form a new piece and get it welded back in. So this section I've cut out, I've now made up by using a bead roller. So the piece is oversized and even marking on there which way it needs to go, I still made a mistake. So luckily, because I've made the piece oversized, I've got plenty of extra metal to work with. So that wasn't too much of an issue, just a bit frustrating. Now what I've done is I've got bends in there, hopefully it picks it up on the camera, and it's shaped now to the same as the panel on the car. What I've then done is just held it in place where it needs to be and marked out the back the amount I need to cut out. So I'm just going to get some tin snips, cut this out, and that should be a nice perfect fit.
So that is the first few little sections of rust removal done on this BMW. Now overall I am really happy with how this came out. Now by no means are they invisible, however they are plenty good enough, and by the time I retreat these wheel arches with stone chip and undersill, things like that, you won't even know they've been done. So yeah, I'm happy with the result here. So that leads me on to the next section. But something tells me I'm not going to get it done by the end of this video. So if you like what you've seen, give me a like, subscribe to the channel to see how I get on in fixing this great big hole. See you next time.